Do you think when Zelda is stuck in Echoes of Wisdom, her new little fairy companion tells her to try force? Anyways, we had a fabulous Nintendo Direct last week. Like, honestly, I went in with not as many expectations, just thinking that it would be the end of the Switch lineup. What could they possibly surprise us with? And they surprised us with a lot. I'm not going to talk about everything that was in the Nintendo Direct, just the things that piqued my interest. And so with that being said, let's talk about it. Mario and Luigi Brothership, risky name. Sonic X Shadow Generations, risky name. Brothership, riskier name. Anyways, Mario and Luigi games have made a fantastic transition into 3D, like full 3D, not just 3DS 3D, and my god, are the graphics beautiful. They're so cartoony, bouncy, light, colorful, just a delight to look at, and they're really reminiscent of even the Game Boy Advance title. Everything is just so smoothly done. It looks like a hand-drawn cartoons in all of these animations. I love the little jiggle physics on Mario's mustache and his belly. I love the sparkles and the stars that show impact from the hits. I love that Luigi does this. Great reaction image. Paper Gem was about 9 years ago, and it was a smidge on the bland side, but with one trailer, a Brothership just oozes charm and personality. As something that's been sorely missed for the Mario and Luigi series, Dream Team was delightful, but Paper Gem being the most recent brand new Mario and Luigi title makes Brothership look all the better. Anyways, Mario and Luigi Wind Waker comes out later this year. I can't wait. I really enjoyed that every Xenoblade fan in the entire world awoke like a sleeper agent seeing the word Mio on screen. It was a very unifying moment. We saw a bit more Farmagia. We can plant and grow dogs. I want to plant and grow dogs. If I had the power to plant dogs, I would have like 100 dogs right now, no questions asked. I mentioned in my marvelous 2024 game showcase reaction that it was a little disappointing to only see the animated opening for Farmagia. Seeing gameplay on the Switch though, that was a little bitty baby bit rough. Like usually for me, frame rates I'm really not a stickler for. Like if it's consistent, even if it's like 24 frames per second, I don't care. If it is not unplayable at a lower frame rate, I don't mind. Like generally when people talk about the difference between 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second, some of the time I'm not really noticing, to me, a huge difference, but like for 60 frames per second, like I can't count that fast. I'm not smart. But when I can count the frames in your trailer video, it's a little rough. I'm not gonna lie. I think maybe Switch is not gonna be where Farmagia shines the most. I don't know if showing Switch gameplay was the right call for the first gameplay showcase. I know that the game is also coming on a PlayStation 5 and on PC, where I think it'll probably look and run a lot better. It has really cool concepts for the combat, and I think even the trailer released after the Nintendo Direct, which had even less gameplay but a little bit more story substance, was a better advertisement for Farmagia than we got in the Direct. It's really a shame because Farmagia looks like a really delightful, fun game, but unfortunately I don't think it's going to find its calling on Switch. Platforming fans rejoice! Donkey Kong Country returns. It's nice to have it alongside Tropical Freeze on the Switch, but it's odd that Donkey Kong isn't getting anything new. As I understand it, the Mario vs. Donkey Kong game that came out this year was also a remake. I think maybe the reason that they're recycling another Donkey Kong title is to keep up with both Universal Studios Japan's Mario World and the Mario movie where Donkey Kong played a bit bigger of a role. It seems like it's sort of similar to why Princess Peach got her own game, why Luigi's Mansion 2 got a remake. It's to cater to all of the different characters that were in the Mario movie, you know? And it's not like Donkey Kong Country Returns is a bad game. I had it on 3DS and I loved it to pieces, but it's still just, you know, it's been a while since Donkey Kong has gotten a brand new original platformer. Time will tell. Funko Fusion is, as an Amiibo fan, I'm a little insulted, I won't lie. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD was shown in a sizzle reel, which is about the most in-character thing you could have possibly done for Luigi in a Nintendo Direct, honestly. There's a new Denpaman game. Why are they back? I mean, from what I've played of the Denpaman titles, the game does lend itself really well to a mobile game style, and it looks like this one is going to be free to start, which does mean microtransactions, which is a shame. I'm curious why this is one of the ones that they brought out of 3DS eShop closure hell. You know, there's a lot of other titles that I really feel would have shined more on the Switch, even late into its life cycle. I'm not really sure that Denpaman, at this point in time, with what the gameplay for Denpaman is really going to resonate with a lot of people. I'm still willing to give it a try, though.
Search with your 3DS.
It is a very quirky,
Catch with your 3DS.
interesting game.
These abilities differ according to the shape of the antenna. You will sometimes find Denpamen with rare abilities. Keep an eye on the shapes of their antennae.
With quirky, interesting little Guys, if you've not played it, I think a free-to-play title is going to be generally harmless if you're careful with your microtransactions. Even so, nice to see that not everything stuck on the 3DS is going to be stuck forever. It is a choice. Personally, I would have preferred to see the Pushmo games get re-released, sort of like Pocket Card Jockey did, but beggars can't be choosers. We will take whatever 3DS content we can get in 2024. Nintendo Switch Online got some really good titles. Four Swords Adventures is a delightful game if you've not played it. There is some back and forth between Four Swords Adventures on the Game Boy Advance and A Link to the Past on Game Boy Advance. If you've not played them, or even if you've played A Link to the Past on SNES, you can get some unlockables in both games by playing both titles back and forth. The other great Game Boy Advance title that we got was Metroid Zero Mission. Metroidvania friends, congratulations, you did really well today. I understand that this is a beloved entry in the series, and I'm really happy for you all to have the chance to play it on Nintendo Switch again. The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. This is a title that I think all of us were pretty blindsided by. I think it's been a long time coming that we have Princess Zelda as a playable character, as a main lead protagonist playable character, outside of things like spin-offs or you know. A new 2D Zelda in the modern day, following Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, is really exciting. It's not something that I had a lot of high hopes for personally. I was thinking that maybe we would get remasters of the Oracle titles, Minish Cap, things like that, prior to a fully realized new 2D Zelda title. I think it's really interesting that they're going similar to the Tears of the Kingdom method, where if you create your own way to solve these puzzles. I think the one that Zelda has to conjure items is a really interesting gameplay mechanic. I feel like it's very similar to Tears of the Kingdom's mechanics, with both building items and rebuilding items that you've made previously. A new 2D Zelda game is really, really hype, especially after the most recent was a remaster, and before that being Triforce Heroes out in 2015. So it's been almost 9 years between titles. We're really long overdue, and in a post Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom world, it's nice to know that 2D Zelda isn't forgotten. I really like that we've got the Deku Scrub from Majora's Mask. I like that we've got little Gerudos. I really like that there's both old school Goblin Zora and the new modern pretty Princess Zora. I already like her. I don't know who she is, but she's already the best character. Like, look at her. She's so cute. And her squire with the little curled up fins, is he not just the most precious thing you've ever seen in your entire life? I like that Zelda as a playable character uses her wits with the wand, which leans more into her being the holder of the Triforce of Wisdom. She may not be physically strong, but she's very clever, and that's going to get her through a lot of obstacles in a lot of really interesting ways. I like the way that Link accepts defeat as he gets taken into the void looking like a Pokemon protagonist from the Sun and Moon era. No facial expression, just going into the void. I like that there's a lot of vertical movement in the 2D world as well. I like taking the ideas that were present in Tears of the Kingdom and using them on a different plane and perspective. This could make some of the things that you can do with these items a little more restrictive just because of the nature of a 2D title. As long as you're able to avoid a situation like Rabio's rental shop in Link Between Worlds, where it just made getting dungeon items almost obsolete. So as long as it mitigates that awkward in the middle replacement for traditional dungeon items so that you can travel through the world at your own pace in whatever direction you want, I think that's probably a good thing overall. I do have a lot of hesitations for this game, as excited as I am for it though. Both of them can really be tied down to fatigue. I don't know if anyone else had pointed this out, but the first place I saw this was posted by Reddit user Felipe Kits. It looks like the world of Echoes of Wisdom is borrowing from the world map of Link to the Past, which we have already revisited in A Link Between Worlds, and technically was the world that Triforce Heroes took place in. It wasn't the same map, but for it being a brand new title, it is a little disappointing to know that we're getting a map reused a third time, especially following off the heels of Tears of the Kingdom using the same map as Breath of the Wild, which is fine. They expanded on it upwards and downwards. They did a lot of adjustments to it. They made it its own unique title to somewhat stand on its own, but even so, reusing the same maps, areas, somewhat of the same ideas over and over, I feel like it could cause a little bit of overall series fatigue if we just keep doing new games and new concepts in the same areas over and over. I'm also a little worried about fatigue for the art style. It's a one-to-one to the Link's Awakening remaster, which on its own has a beautiful, unique charm to it. I just think that alongside reusing a map, reusing a art style is also a little to me. I worry that we're going to see some fatigue with the toy art style, similar to how we had a bit of fatigue with the Wind Waker Toon Link style. It's hard to tell with Nintendo how many times they plan to reuse the same art style for their games, but mixing an already used art style with an already used map makes me worry a little. Also, this is just my opinion, Having a craft your own way adventure makes me worry about gameplay overall. I hope they rectify Tears of the Kingdom's core issue of allowing for incredible creativity potential while two fans and a steering stick were objectively best to use in so many situations, bypassing creativity and the whole point of the mechanics in the first place. So far, it looks like there's not going to be anything quite so busted in these trailers, but it's only going to be a matter of time before someone finds an exploit, right? And then it becomes the popular thing, and we just bypass the entire reason that the game took so long to come out. I don't know. I have my hesitancies with this game, but I am optimistic, and the special edition Switch Lite is so pretty that I've already committed like $250 into this new Zelda title, so fingers crossed that it manages to find a balance of staying fresh and unique even while using older assets. The most excited I was for any announcement in this Nintendo Direct was for Ace Attorney Investigations Collection. I actually punched the table watching the Direct and yelled that it better have both games, and lo and behold, it does. The second game was never officially localized outside of Japan, though there is a fabulous fan translation, which has an exceeding amount of charm, and it's going to be an uphill battle for Capcom to make an official translation of the game, since the fan translation is so widely loved and accepted as the translation of the game. The biggest one that I see is the name differences of our boy Sebastian de Best going to Eustace Winner, and if I understand correctly from a couple of comments that I've seen on Reddit and Twitter, it's maybe to make his name sound like he's a useless whiner, which is objectively very funny, but you can't do better than de Best. But with how popular of a character Edgy-Poo is, it's really shocking that this wasn't localized sooner. I do think Capcom deserves some kudos, though, for preserving their older titles. I think for certain aspects of game preservation, Capcom is really leading the charge in making sure that older titles are accessible to a more modern market and wider audience at the same time. I don't know much about fighting games in general, but I do understand the importance and gravity and excitement of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 being re-released. And not just being re-released, but being re-released inside a collection of other classic titles. And looking at how recently they've done the Mega Man EXE titles, they've done other Capcom fighting title collections in the past, Mega Man collections in the past, there's really no one doing it quite like Capcom is doing it for game preservation of classic titles. So hats off to Capcom. Thank you for bringing a new breath of life into the Edgeworth Investigations titles, and I look forward to playing them this October. The title, The 100 Line, The Last Defense Academy, a definitely not Danganronpa game, was also announced. Looks pretty interesting. As I understand it, it's written by Kazutaka Kodaka and co-written by Kotaro Uchikoshi, who, if you don't know, wrote the Zero Escape trilogy and AI the Somnium Files games, all of which are excellent, especially if you love Danganronpa. I highly, highly, highly recommend them. AI the Somnium Files especially, like, that game is just...
Huh? Where'd the porn go?
There's just nothing like it. Anyways, it looks like it's somewhat of a mix of a tower defense and a visual novel at this point. I think they're gonna lean really heavily into the student life visual novel aspect of it, just because, of course, it wears its inspiration on its sleeve. Creators of Danganronpa very obviously worked on this project in art style and atmosphere both. Though it's really kind of hard to tell at this stage how this game is going to actually fully play without more details and further trailers. I am curious to see what this game is all about, how it possibly ties into Danganronpa even indirectly. I mean, you've got 16 students trapped in a school with a funny little guy, and world's ending, and students... It's Danganronpa. It's just Danganronpa, but without class trials. So I'm curious to see where this one goes as well. It sounds like Mr. Kodaka has mentioned that Tokyo Games may be financially unstable after this project, so I'm hoping that the 100 Line is going to be a game worth picking up for that reason alone. Danganronpa is a series that's beloved and has such a strong following for a reason, and taking the spirit of Danganronpa and putting it into something a little different, distinct, and new might be a good refresh button for how the third core title in the series ended. The graphics in this game are super gorgeous. You can tell that Tokyo Games really learned a lot in making Master Detective Archives Rain Code. I look forward to seeing more about the 100 Line and playing it next year. Finally, we got a trailer for Metroid Prime 4. Metroid fans have been starving for this for 7 long years since that teaser trailer was announced, and I have to say for the record that personally I've never played a Metroid Prime title. I got the Metroid Prime remaster for Nintendo Switch. I haven't played it yet, but I was really hoping to see additional remasters of Metroid Prime 2 Echoes and Metroid Prime 3 Corruption as well. Just because I missed out on the chance to play those games, and a lot of others have too, so seeing the newfound hype for Metroid Prime 4, it just makes a lot of sense that they've re-released the other titles in the series, so as many people as possible could be excited for Metroid Prime 4, you know? They're one of those ones that make perfect sense to port, sort of like Pikmin 1 and 2, after they ported Pikmin 3 and released Pikmin 4 on the Switch. Switch. It just made a lot of sense to me. So it's weird that we didn't see it today. Maybe we will see it on the follow-up to the Switch. I think the ominous title of 2025 for Metroid Prime 4 makes me think that it's going to be one of those cross-platform releases where it releases simultaneously on Nintendo Switch, but also on the cool shiny new thing, sort of like Breath of the Wild did, and then just wickedly outsell the Switch version on the new console. So hopefully there's a way for me to be able to play all 3 of the already released Metroid Prime games before 4 comes out, so I can see what all the excitement is about, because you guys are really passionate. And again, I'm really happy for you. And that's about it for my Nintendo Direct reactions and impressions. What do you think? Let me know in the comments what you were most excited to see, what you really wanted to see, what you hope to see next time or on Nintendo's next console, and we'll just chat there. Thanks for watching. Bye. Also, congratulations to the hardcore GameCube fans who got a new Looney Tunes sports game. That's really exciting.